Michele Geraci is a former Under-Secretary of State at Italy's Ministry of Economic Development. I asked him what he made of China overtaking the United States as Europe's leading trading partner.
It is a very important symbol of China regaining its status in the world economy as the biggest economy in the world. Because let's not forget, over the last 2,000 years, Chinese economy has always been one of the biggest in the world. Now, if we only look at the last 150 years, maybe we see the rise of China. But rather than the rise of China, I see as China regaining the role that has always been its in the history of mankind. And so this is a symbolic way that now China does more business with Europe than Europe does with the United States. And this also, if I may, represents not just the growth in the Chinese economy, but in the rest of Asia. And so indeed, Europe now looks at East with stronger and stronger interest.
However, these figures are simply a snapshot of time when the world was plunged into a global pandemic. Global trade has taken a hammering. Are we going to see this as the new norm, or can we expect a reset back to things as they were?
In terms of trade, if we divide into trade of goods and trade of services, I think goods will suffer a little bit because shipping containers do need a little bit of going back to the world pre-COVID. That is not going to happen anytime soon, I fear. But in terms of services, for example, digital services, transaction on the internet, I think this is going very, very well. So we have there's two sides of trade, one that is suffering a little bit, the goods side, and the other one, the service side, that is actually flourishing. And once again, Asia is dominating this sector with online payment. We have companies like WeChat, Alipay, the rest in Korea and Japan. So I think this is another shift, not just a geographic shift to the east, but also a technology shift that will further accelerate the repositioning of Asia in the global economy, that will make it even stronger.
What difference will the new Biden administration make to global trade, in particular to US-EU trade? Because as we know, the Trump administration saw a long period of a tit-for-tat trade war.
You know, with Trump, indeed, Europe was under pressure because the Trump administration was looking at narrowing the trade gap with all countries. And Europe did and does enjoy a trade surplus with the United States. So it sells more to the US than the US buys from Europe. And this was not acceptable for Trump. Now, Biden understands that deficit or surplus do not matter so much, and so he will have a little bit, he will give Europe a little bit of an easier life in terms of trade. He will not impose, like Trump was doing, sanctions for Airbus, for forcing Europe to buy more American goods. It's less of buy America. Having said that, Biden is more ideological than Trump, so he's more free market for liberal trade, and that will put pressure on in Europe, in the countries, for example, like Italy, that do not react very well to these forces of globalization, because there are some economies in Europe, like the Northern European, that are very open market. They will benefit from this free trade, the liberal push that Joe Biden will give. But other countries, and I'm thinking of the Mediterranean countries, including my own, will actually risk to suffer. So we win on one side, we don't have the pressure of trade surplus, but now we need to really, let's say, wake up to the new normal of the world and reform our economies. And maybe we have an opportunity now with the new Prime Minister, Mr. Draghi. So I think this is an opportunity also for Italy and other countries in Europe to advance to the year 2020.